Hamidi. Panel 3 is on training, guidance, and procedures applicable to DCA air traffic control. The panel will address DCA ATCT facility type, services, radar, visual, and expectations. Training and proficiency of controllers, from initial training of all controllers through individual training and certification at DCA ATCT. Initial classroom, certification, simulation, refresher, recurrent, and compliance with the National Training Initiative and applicable documentation. Training, guidance, and procedures applicable to DCA air traffic control. Resource management, staffing within the tower and combined positions. Separation standards, radar, visual, instrument flight rules, or IFR, visual flight rules, or VFR, and their application. Conflict alerting, an explanation, controller response expectations, nuisance alert prevalence, both in general across the National Airspace System, or the NAS, as well as specific to DCA, ATCT, and this accident. System safety, logic, and alerting, including design, adaptation, and human factors issues such as controller response. Night vision goggles, or aided pilot, the impact to air traffic control. Helicopter holding within the DCA airspace. Traffic flow management, including airport arrival rate, miles and trail, slot program, time-based flow management, and hourly rate fluctuations. The use of circling to runway 33 negation. ADSB in and out, and the impact to air traffic control operations, and safety risk management panels. The NTSB technical panel, starting down on my right, is composed of Mr. Brian Soper, lead aviation accident investigator for air traffic control. Ms. Sarah Lewis, an aviation accident investigator for air traffic control. Dr. Catherine Wilson, senior human performance investigator. And Captain Van McKinney, aerospace engineer for helicopters. Witnesses for panel 3 are composed of the following individuals. From my left, nearest the board members. In the front row, we have Mr. Nick Fuller, the Acting Deputy Chief Operating Officer with the Air Traffic Organization of the Federal Aviation Administration. Ms. Mandy Chendi, Traffic Management Officer with the Washington District for the Federal Aviation Administration. Mr. Brian Lehman, Air Traffic Manager for the Potomac Consolidated TRACON with the Federal Aviation Administration. Mr. Clark Allen, who is the Operations Manager of the DCA ATCT at the time of the accident with the Federal Aviation Administration. Mr. James Jarvis, an Air Traffic Control Specialist, formerly with the FAA Eastern Service Air Quality Control Group with LEDOS. Dr. Kenneth Allendorfer, Manager of Human Systems Integration Branch with the Federal Aviation Administration. In the second row, from left to right, we have Mr. Rick Dressler, Aviation Site Manager for MedStar Transport with Metro Aviation Incorporated. Mr. Eric Silverman, an air traffic control and airfield operations manager for the DC, Philadelphia, New York, and Boston Northeast region with American Airlines. And Command Chief Warrant Officer David Van Vechten, former standardization instructor pilot with the Army Aviation Brigade with the U.S. Army. Chairwoman Hamady, these witnesses have been pre-qualified and their respective experience and qualifications appear in the docket as exhibits. This concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Bauer. I'll now ask the witnesses to please stand. Please raise your right hand and please answer by saying, I do. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll give in this hearing will be the truth? Thank you. You may be seated. As a reminder to the witnesses, you will remain under oath until the conclusion of this hearing. We ask that you answer the questions factually and avoid any analysis. If there are questions on whether something is speculation or analysis, your party reps may raise their hand with any sort of concerns, or you may ask me that question or state that you believe it's analysis or speculation. Finally, when you're speaking, please bring the microphone closer, push the button when you're speaking, and don't forget to turn it off when you're done speaking. I am going to just two things for those who are watching or in the audience, and also the parties and for the panelists. We asked difficult questions yesterday, and we'll do so today. Our objective today is to thoroughly understand crew dynamics and air traffic control and operations. This is a complex and dynamic operating environment, and it is important for us to understand how workload and responsibilities are managed. Second, I asked this yesterday, and I'm going to specifically ask because we really don't, in the federal government, have jurisdiction over the private entities. I'm going to ask this from the, I guess I will ask Mr. Van Vechten and Mr. Fuller. Mr. Fuller on behalf of FAA and Mr. Van Vechten on behalf of the U.S. Army. Your whistleblower policy, I asked yesterday, do you protect your employees and contractors from retaliation, harassment, and intimidation?
For the FAA, yes.
Army?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
Okay, thank you. And I just want to ensure it's employees and contractors for both.
That's correct.
Okay, great. If that occurs, I will be notified, and I will not hesitate to report that to any Inspector General, Office of Special Counsel, or Department of Justice. I just want you to be aware of that. Okay, so with that, we're going to go ahead and start with Mr. Soper.
Thank you, Chairwoman. We'll start off with a softball for you. Mr. Allen, could you just give us a brief explanation of the type of facility DCA Airport Traffic Control Tower is, basically the primary services you provide, and what you're involved with there, and is there anything unique about that facility that you feel are important to be understood as we move into all these questions about the guidance and procedures at the tower?
Yes, good morning. DCA is a level 9 air traffic control tower only.
Sorry, can you stop for a second? The whistleblower status would apply for anything provided during testimony or participation in this hearing and participation in the investigation, correct? FAA?
Correct.
Army?
Yes, ma'am.
Start again, Mr. Soper.
Thank you. Do you need the question repeated, Mr. Allen?
Yeah, one more time.
Great. So could you just give us a brief explanation of the type facility DCA Airport Traffic Control Tower is, the primary services that you provide from that tower, or that that tower provides, I should say, and is there anything unique about the DCA Airport Traffic Control Tower that you feel is important to be understood as we move into the questioning about the guidance and the procedures with DCA that you would just like to have at the head of that?
Yeah, good morning. DCA is a level 9 air traffic control tower only. It operates 3 runways in a north configuration and a south configuration. With that, we primarily are made up of airlines servicing the fixed-wing traffic, and then law enforcement, medevac, and the various armed services for a significant helicopter operation. With our airspace, there are various prohibited areas adjoining additional level Class Bravo airspaces. It makes up the Washington Tri-Class Bravo. And with DCA towers, unique in the lack of real estate that the airfield has, in the amount of operations that we run. With our ground control, it's unique that they are also ramp control and service the gates and the alleyways. As far as the local control or helicopter control, or both of them actually, in the airspace, operating with the prohibited areas, there's significant VIP flights. There are special missions. There are a significant amount of flybys that occur, so there's a lot of coordination and special operations that occur in the DCA Class Bravo.
You mentioned flybys. For those that might not be aware, what do you mean when you say flybys?
Flybys, we have those for special events, most recently the 4th of July events that transpired, as well as there are flybys at Arlington National Cemetery for fallen soldiers.
Okay, great, thank you. And do you provide radar services at this facility?
We do.
Okay. And in this facility, the tower is equipped with control tower radar displays that are there for the use and controllers in providing services. Can you explain to us the primary use of these displays and how they are to be used by air traffic controllers to include their benefits as well as the limitations of their use?
Yeah, so our certified tower radar display has a map of the general area, the adjacent facilities, and prominent landmarks. It helps with situational awareness and workload. It is incorporated in what air traffic controllers have as part of their scan. They'll scan that, grab information from it. They'll scan, look out the window. They'll utilize their strips. We have the ASD, the Airport Surface Detection Equipment. It is one tool that comprises the overall scan and how we operate the facility.
Thank you. And one last one in this area, if you could explain for us the positions that you staff in this tower, or that this tower staffs for operating services in a normal configuration. If you could just kind of step us through what those positions are and basically their function in the tower.
Yep. So we'll start with local control. So they are operating the runways, clearing folks to land, clearing them to take off. There is assistant local control. They're an extra set of eyes for the local controller. They help provide sequencing for the departures and the arrivals, and they coordinate with the adjacent facilities or adjacent positions within the tower cab. The ground controller, like I said earlier, operates all the aircraft on the ground as well as provides ramp control for the airfield. There's the helicopter position that controls the helicopters in the Class Bravo airspace as well as the Delegated Security Services airspace. We have a clearance delivery flight data position that maintains the weather, assists with traffic management duties, as well as amending and providing clearances for IFR aircraft. Traffic management unit, they as it says in the title, they assist with anything traffic management related, whether it's getting release times for departures, initiating programs for DCA, and coordinating things of that nature. And then there would be a supervisor or controller in charge that would oversee the entire operation and provide oversight.
What is the basic difference between a supervisor or a controller in charge?
Supervisor would be a management personnel that is overseeing the operation. If one is not available, a controller can be placed as controller in charge to fill that position.
And I assume there's a qualification process to be a controller in charge. It's not just any controller could do that duty, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to shift into some separation standards and use of visual separation, which has been a hot topic through this entire investigation. I just want to remind, as we do ask these questions, I know a lot has went on. The FAA has done a lot to mitigate stuff in this airspace already, so there have been things implemented since the time of the accident. But we would like everybody to frame their responses as on the day of the event, what was in place on the day of that event. So the policies, the way things were done, the SOP, everything like that, we want it framed in that because we're still here trying to figure all of that out. Mr. Allen, or I'm sorry, Mr. Fuller, you gave a pretty good definition this yesterday, so I'd like to ask you to do this for us again and remind us. We've heard a lot about visual separation in this event. Could you briefly explain what visual separation is, how it is applied, and the difference between pilot applied and tower applied visual separation for air traffic?
In Class B airspace, controllers are required to maintain 1.5 miles or 500 feet between fixed-wing aircraft over 19,500 pounds and VFR helicopters. Visual separation is a means by which separation responsibility can be transferred to the pilot after they report traffic in sight. Visual separation, you must ensure that you have Class B separation before and after the application of visual separation, and that's for pilot-applied visual separation. If it were tower-applied visual separation, the tower is still maintaining responsibility for separating the aircraft by visually observing them and providing directions to ensure they don't conflict. On the night of the accident, they were not using tower-applied visual separation. They were using pilot-applied visual separation. Again, the requirement is for the air traffic controller to have Class B separation before and after the application of visual separation.
Okay. And sorry, I lost my place there. Mr. Allen, how prevalent was the use of visual separation at DCA Airport Traffic Control Tower? Could you provide us some of the benefits and limitations to using visual separation?
Visual separation was used on a daily basis between the helicopter operators and the commercial traffic departing and landing at DCA. Visual separation was
the visual separation. Does it relieve the controller of their responsibility to ensure separation?
So I will tell you that the responsibility at that point is on the pilot to separate themselves from the other aircraft, and that means to maneuver as necessary to avoid a collision. Now, as an air traffic control professional, we are always going to do the extra mile. If we see a conflict, even if we are applying visual separation, we will still provide additional traffic information and make sure that that pilot understands that they still have that responsibility. I believe in the night of the accident, you heard the controller reach out and provide an additional instruction to the PAT 25 helicopter to ensure they had traffic in sight and they verifying they were still maintaining visual separation. It's the pilot's responsibility, but air traffic controllers will go the extra mile to make sure that we're providing information as necessary.
Okay, thank you. And back to you, Mr. Allen. Was it your experience that the workforce had a clear understanding of the limitations as much as the benefits derived? Do you feel that the operators had a clear understanding of these as well from your experience working there?
From my experience, the controller workforce was well versed in utilizing visual separation, and the helicopter users were very aware of visual separation and what it entailed.
Okay. And Mr. Jarvis, for you, I know that you're on this panel. You conducted compliance verifications as part of the Eastern Service Area Quality Control Group at DCA. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And what time frame was that again? From when to when did you do that at DCA?
From when did I?
What year to what year were you? Have you done that service at DCA?
At DCA.
Yeah.
From about 2017 till July 2023.
Okay, so it wasn't that far in the past. When you were there during the compliance verifications that you did do, was visual separation or controllers' application of visual separation or their understanding of it ever a question or a deficiency through those ECVs that you can recall?
Yes.
In what way? Could you expound on that a little bit?
Approximately 2016 to 2017, we conducted an evaluation, and although we did not identify non-compliance, there were situations in which it did not appear the scan was going in the direction that we felt it should have gone. Again, we did not identify non-compliance. We did was we left the facility with a comment, a concern, and from there they took care of that.
So they took care of. So you were able to follow up with that they provided some sort of mitigation or training to that comment or what you observed while you were there.
Based on data that they had in their facility internal verification system, they followed up with visual separation, and it looked like they took care of it in that formality.
Okay. Mr. Allen, something that our team found unique when we were listening to audio and observing operations at DC Airport Traffic Control Tower was the pilots almost reflexively requesting pilot-applied visual separation immediately upon receiving an initial traffic advisory or check-in. Do you have a sense of why that is here? Was that something that they encouraged, or was it something that air traffic control offered to them at some point? It struck us as a little odd. I think all of us did, because in most other places I've been, it doesn't quite happen that way. It's usually given traffic, and then they may actually ask the pilot to apply visual separation. Kind of goes.
So with the way the airspace is constructed with the prohibited areas, the way the helicopter route structure and the airfield with the approaches and departures, the way it is all integrated, like I said in your previous question, that visual separation is paramount in order to expedite the flow of all traffic, whether it's the fixed-wing traffic or the helicopter traffic. So in my opinion, any helicopter operator that has been in the area for a length of time understands how the operation works and how it needs to work in order to efficiently move the aircraft. But I would defer to the gentlemen behind me that are the helicopter operators for their opinion.
That's great, and that's where I was going next. Mr. Van Vechten, would you like to speak to that, please?
Yes, sir. With night vision goggles on from Cabin John, I can visually see aircraft landing and departing runway 9, lining up at Wilson Bridge. So it is common practice to identify the aircraft and then call visual separation from a long distance away. As we descend, it can become challenging to maintain constant visual on that aircraft, but if they're landing runway 1, it's not a factor because I will be parallel with that traffic.
Okay, and we're going to get back to that a little bit later as well, so thank you. Mr. Dressler, would you like to speak to it, please?
I think here it is a reflexive comment because experienced operators are well aware of the traffic flow in and out of the airport. And I think it was encouraged by DCA Tower in our conversations last year to understand fully visual separation, and it does relieve the controller of some percentage of responsibility that they can then free up and put their attention elsewhere. Many of our members do not accept visual separation. Certainly not pilot applied, where my understanding is both pilots need to accept. These would be the law enforcement members who don't have a predictable way to continue visual tracking of aircraft while they're in orbits, let's say, and they don't know where those orbits will end up going. So we do accept it when possible. We do accept it reflexively, but we do have plenty of operators who do not accept it.
So I'm going to remain with you. Have you experienced concern while operating here in the DCA airspace? Have you experienced concern with the application of visual separation, whether pilot applied or tower applied, just from your point of view within this airspace? And do the concerns lie more with one entity or the other? Like, is there one particular unit or a group of units or a type or a facility? You know, is there anything, or is it just all over the map?
Generally speaking, I think it works very well.
Okay.
It has enormous challenges in a night environment. Whether on goggles or off goggles, it's very simple to understand whether north ops or south ops are being used at DCA. It is, I mentioned yesterday, it's still remarkably hard to identify aircraft when you are flying, whether it's the background or a whole host of reasons. It can be very challenging, I think, as every pilot would say. We use traffic alerts and traffic monitoring systems in our helicopters, all the DC operators, the civilian and law enforcement side, and it is exceptionally challenging when you have particular units that don't broadcast using ADSB. Our systems are not TCAS 2, so we do not take in Mode S or Mode C transponders. We rely upon ADSB. And when you cannot see an aircraft and you've been asked if you can identify traffic and you can't see it, and in your visual scan and then scan your instruments and still can't find the aircraft, it can be very challenging.
So in your experience flying in the airspace here, do you feel more or less comfortable when you hear air traffic control or a pilot request visual separation and an air traffic controller approve that, and it could impact you? Do you get a feeling of comfort, discomfort? How does it affect you?
If I know right away the other operators. There are really only a dozen helicopter operators in this area, and know most of them either personally or by voice. I also know all the tower controllers by voice, and they know all of our voices. We have pilots who've been here and members of our group at 38 years, 28 years. I have several pilots at 28 years. My first trip to the DCA tower, one of the controllers who'd been there forever could imitate some of our voices to a T. She could mimic our voices, and we love them. So when I know the tower by voice, and I know the unit, the particular aircraft that on the other end is accepting visual separation from me, I think it works very, very well, and I have extreme confidence in it.
Is there any unit that when you hear it makes you feel uncomfortable?
Sadly, yes. And as I said yesterday, I don't like saying this. I'll say it again on the record. I'm a former Army aviator, and I'm a retired Air Force officer. And I don't like saying that first heli of the USAF from Andrews, and I don't like saying that 12th Aviation Battalion gives us all pause in the community. And I'm speaking for my group there. We are all very uncomfortable when those two units are operating.
Okay. Mr. Van Vechten, do you request visual separation often when operating in the Class B airspace here?
Yes, I did.
And were you, when you have agreed to provide visual separation,